do you own it? I mean, do you believe it? And if you start owning it and believing it, I think you can do it. At least that's how it's worked for me. Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it. Hey, our sponsor for the show today is Pine Financial Group, the leader in hard money lending in Colorado and Minnesota, and they were recently approved to offer their investment publicly. This investment offer is only for investors in Colorado and Minnesota and is only made through their investment prospectus. Get your copy today. Simply visit www.pineinvestments.com and click to get started. Look, there's a reason why some of the wealthiest people in history invest in loans backed by real estate. Learn more about the risks and returns at www.pineinvestments.com. Hello, welcome back to Pillars of Wealth Creation. We got another Hump Day Hustle. I'm Todd Dexheimer, your host, and with me today, as always, is Matt Jones. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful on this beautiful snowy day in Minnesota. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic as well. Matt, anything new this week? Any lessons learned that you want to hash out?
Well, I am working on increasing some efficiencies in my systems. To make it a little, the properties a little easier to manage and less of my own time to be spent on the little nitty gritty type of stuff. So instead of working so much in my business, I'd rather work on my business. On the higher order things.
Yeah, absolutely. And really important to look at. Honestly, you should be looking at that at least every single year, if not more, is okay, what kind of things can I do to make my business more efficient? Because we always have new things that come up in our business and we maybe don't plan those properly, or we've made some efficiencies, yet we could still get even better. We have to reflect on, what type of things we've done and how can we continue to move forward and become even more productive with kind of the systems that we've built. So it's always good to reflect on that. And I did that, I do that quite a bit. I can remember on my rentals, one of the things we were doing is we were still taking payments through the mail. And we had, some tenants that would want to pay us cash. And so that we're even allowing, so where now we don't take any payments by mail. It has to be 100% has to go to our online system. Mm-hmm. And it saved us a lot of time, and it's easy to track. It's there. It's so much better. And payments are typically made on time. So it's really increased a lot of the collections issues that we've had. And we've done a lot of different stuff like that through the years. That's really helped continue to create more efficiencies, but we're always looking at, okay, what can we do to either improve what we've already done or to make more things better? So.
Yeah. And I think a lot of new investors get kind of hung up on all these problems that you can face in real estate. And, the ones that last, or the investors that last are the ones who are focused more on solutions and finding ways to make it better and better.
Yeah, they're focused on building a business. And that's kind of what this podcast is about is, look, I mean, real estate's great. We can all go out and buy properties, but you're not going to be really that successful at it if you don't create it and run it like a business. It's not just transactional. It's not just let's find the next best deal. That's part of the business, but we also have to actually operate our real estate investments like a business. And that's how you're going to create long-term sustainable success and growth.
Yep, that makes sense. So, but how about you? With you, what's new with you this past week?
Yeah, so one of the things I kind of wanted to talk about, a few things right now. It's towards the end of 2019. Looking at really digging into the goals of 2020. I do wait until close to the end of the year. Some people have probably already hashed out their goals in November and early December, but for me personally, I'm just starting kind of my framework, and then I'll really hone in on the details of the goals probably next week. So it's honestly, I just wait until kind of the end of the year. And the reason I do that is because I want to focus all my attention on 2019, because I made goals in 2019 and I want to focus on making sure 2019 ends strong and not just kind of take the last couple of weeks off. So for me, that's kind of where I delay it till closer to the end of the year. But it's really important to get your goals in writing and really understand what you're trying to achieve. And not only do I want to get my goals in writing, but I really want to think about my goals and how are they going to be achievable. So I want to focus on the result. I want to focus on the reason or the purpose of my goals. I want to map out the steps. How am I going to achieve it? What are the key things I need to be doing? Maybe weekly tasks, or what do I actually need to change in my business in order to achieve those goals? Then I want to prioritize those tasks and the goals that I have, because I probably have several goals, or I do have several goals. More for me right now, I've started to map them. I've got really 7 main goals that I want to achieve this year. I want to timestamp it. I want to put some deadlines on things, not only just the goal itself, but the tasks within the goal. And then I want to understand, what am I leveraging? Who am I leveraging? What type of technology am I leveraging? What type of systems am I going to put in place? And then lastly, how am I going to execute this whole plan? So we want to really think about that and put it all together. And it can be goals that are in your business, it can be in your personal life, it can be your health, that type of stuff. But I really try to focus on, really 3 main categories in my life. What are my business goals? What are my, personal health and wellness goals? And then what are my, kind of family and overarching, um, you know, life goals, I guess, and really kind of dig into those.
So, for our listeners, what's an example of a goal that you've had, either a current one or one in the past?
Yeah, so I've got kind of a new goal in 2020 of really focusing on buying value add real estate locally here in the Twin Cities. And that's something that's been different. I've kind of focused mostly out of state, and I'd like to bring some investments back home again. And that's going to be challenging, because the reasons why I went out of state was because our market is just extremely tight and competitive. People are paying
Mhm.
amazingly high prices for properties, sometimes just mind-boggling. And I recently looked at, that we've had I think it's like 40 transactions that have happened in the Twin Cities this year that are 50 units and above, and several of them are by like nonprofits. So some of them were, like the University of Minnesota bought a building from another entity that was basically the University of Minnesota. Some of them aren't really transactions. Some of them are nonprofit transactions. But of the market rate, the large majority of them were purchased by investors from out of state, which is a new kind of phenomenon in our city that just doesn't happen. In our city, 87% of properties are owned by local investors. And so when we've got the large majority of the 40 transactions happening by out of state investors, obviously that's a big change. And they are paying prices that we would never think of in Minnesota to pay. Like, they're just unheard of. So it's going to be a challenge, but I'm still challenging myself. It's still a goal. I'm going to have to, honestly, it's going to have to be complete cold calling and on off market, because anything that's touched by a broker is going to these out of state investors who are paying extraordinary prices. So that's one goal. And it's not just multifamily, it's value add real estate. And so I'm looking at different types of commercial real estate as well.
Yep, and the deals are certainly out there. It's just you have to be really picky.
Yeah, we'll see if the deals are out there. Like I said, I took my eye off the market. I've kept my eye on the market, but took really my attention from purchasing was not on this market. It was on other markets, and I'm still wanting to continue to pursue these other markets. I would just like to be able to buy some properties locally here. For me, it's I've really looked at how am I going to do that, and digging into kind of that whole process. And honestly, I haven't gotten deep into it yet. I'm just, like I said, I'm setting up my framework and I'm digging in deep next week. So next week will really be okay. What am I going to actually do in order to do that? I've got a couple people that are working for or with me that are looking for properties locally, and we're trying to find something to make work.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. So, let's say, for our investors who are just kind of like winging it, what's the difference in somebody's success for having those specific goals that you're talking about versus just hoping for the best?
Yeah, I mean, hope is really not a solution, right? I mean, yeah, you can hope for the best and hope to get a property, but do you really know the action steps to take? Do you really have real goals? I mean, can you get some success with hope and prayer? Yeah, you can get some success with just hoping that you're going to get some properties and just kind of going out there and winging it. And sure, can you get a few properties here and there? Yeah, you can, but I don't think you're going to have a long-term sustainable business if you do that. You really have to understand your vision of your company and where you're going and where you're going to take it and what you're going to do in the process to get there, and the people that you need to put in place in order to get there, the relationships that you have to build along the way. If you don't understand all that, how are you going to get to where you want to go? I mean, it's just luck then, and luck does happen, but it's not a continual, it's not a long-term plan.
And your goal of buying more locally, how you mentioned that you break down your plans of your goals of what you need to do each week. How do you break down this goal?
Well, it starts with, you know, the result that I'm trying to achieve. And then you have to look at, okay, what are the type of steps that you need to do? So for me, there's a couple things. I mean, I have to build broker relationships. I mean, I just earlier said, I'm probably not going to get anything with a broker, which I probably am not, but I still want to build those relationships and make sure that they understand that I'm here. And then I'm looking for properties. That's definitely a potential. Um, there's also property managers that I want to build relationships with. There's local lenders that I want to build relationships with, and then there's also we've got some paid subscriptions where we can actually dig in and get good information on these properties that are locally owned or owned by investors, and we can understand when they purchased them, we can understand when their mortgages are due, all that kind of information, to where we can decide, okay, these are the group of people we want to call and dig into. So like I said, I've got a couple people now they're doing some work uh, with me to try to dig these properties up and find the right properties that fit what I'm looking for, and then continually get the word out there. When every time I go to a meetup group, it's going to be telling people what I'm looking for, and I'm definitely happy to pay a finder's fee. So anybody even listening to this, look, I mean, if you find a property that fits for me right now, it's got to be a value add. It's got to be 50 plus units. If it's in the multifamily space, if it's in the commercial space, it's got to be a purchase over $1.5 million and be a value add. I'll pay a nice finder's fee for anybody that finds me something like that, or I'll bring you in as an equity partner as well. And I'm not going to say I'm going to split it 50-50 with you, but we'll make a deal that works, and that's a win-win. Um, so yeah, I mean, you got to put it out there. You've got to be intentional. You've got to really own what you're doing in order to actually get results. Hey, let's take a minute to thank our sponsor, Pine Financial Group. Look, you work hard for your money. Is your money working hard for you? Because of inflation, money sitting idle erodes your wealth. Many investors understand that real estate is a great investment, but may not want the effort or the risk that comes with owning their own property. They want to sit back and have payments, hit their bank account each and every month. Stop eroding your wealth and start building it by asking your money to work for you. You should be earning profits while you sleep, an investment backed by real estate. Pine Financial Group, the leader in hard money lending in Colorado and Minnesota, was recently approved to offer their investment publicly. This investment offer is only for investors in Colorado and Minnesota and is only made through the investment prospectus. Get your copy today. Simply visit www.pineinvestments.com and click to get started. There's a reason why some of the wealthiest people in history invest in loans backed by real estate. Learn more about the risks and returns at www.pineinvestments.com. It's www.pineinvestments.com.
There's always, you hear about most people, they set their goals for the year, and then midway through January, they fall off the bandwagon with what they're doing. How do you keep focused throughout the year on your goal?
First of all, these 7 steps or whatever that I've mentioned already is going to help you keep focused. And, you have to have, what's your reason? What's your purpose behind these goals? Is there a reason and purpose? Is it actually playing into your overall vision? It's going to be tough. Look, it's not going to be easy to find properties locally. I just know that. I've already said the reasons why. So it's going to be hard. So why am I going to stick with it? When, January, February, March, April, I haven't even found anything that even smells close to a deal. Well, why are we going to continue to pursue it? So you have to have a reason and a purpose and a why behind it, over than we just want some local properties. So I think that plays a big role into it. And, I know a lot of people fail on their goals, and especially, it's easy to say like the health goals, or exercise goals, people just don't follow through. You've got to be able to, I don't know why everybody or so many people fail, I guess. But are you really committed to it? I guess is maybe the question you should be asking. And have you convinced yourself, or, I don't know the magic pill. There's all kinds of books out there that tell you to do certain things, but I think you just have to be completely committed 100% and convince yourself that's who you are. Like if you've got a health goal and it's to eat healthy and to cut the junk food out of your diet, you just don't need junk food. That's who you are. Like, I don't eat junk food. That's just, I don't, somebody's got a cake and they want you to have a piece. It's, it's just, I don't eat that kind of stuff. I'm sorry. Do you own it? Do you believe it? And if you start owning it and believing it, I think you can do it. At least that's how it's worked for me. It's going to be different for everybody. We all have different personalities. We all have different strengths and weaknesses, but can you actually own it? I have a problem with eating junk food, right? But I owned it, and I just said, look, I'm done. I don't eat that type of food anymore. And, I haven't eaten junk food for a year now, and I just own it. I don't eat junk food. That's just who I am.
So with setting your goals, if you have a strong enough why that really drives you and commits you to your goal, and then you daily make that decision, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, that helps you to stay true to what your goals were.
Yeah. And, look, if you fall off the bandwagon, you got to get back on it. You've got to refocus. You've got to re-energize yourself. You've got to look and dig into why, like, what am I doing? And so, again, let's go back to the junk food thing. What's it serving me? What is eating, 3 cookies going to serve me? What is eating a bowl of ice cream going to serve my body? What is it doing for me? Does it taste good? Yeah, sure. It tastes okay. But what if I have 3 strawberries instead, that's going to taste just as good. And it's actually going to serve my body. And it actually tastes good after the fact, where when I eat junk food, ice cream, stuff like that, I feel thirsty. Just like, you don't feel good, I guess. You don't feel like, you feel lethargic. You are less energized, and so is it really serving my body? What is it doing for me in the future? Is that beneficial to my well-being? Is it beneficial to my business? Is it beneficial to my family? Ask yourself those questions and make sure you understand them, the answers to them. I think that's going to help you, whether it's in business or whether it's your health or whatever, along the way. I think that's going to help you really understanding, what is this doing for me? Is this benefiting my life? Is it really? And people will go, well, yeah, I don't want to live this life of not enjoying myself. Well, can you enjoy yourself without eating, cake and ice cream? Ask yourself that. If the answer is no, well, then I guess you're going to eat cake and ice cream. But I think most of us can say, well, yeah, I'd be just fine without that, honestly. Like, I could go eat, a bowl of strawberries or an apple instead.
Yeah. Okay. So, setting goals and keeping to them, it's can be tough, like you say. You have to make tough decisions. Have there been any tough decisions that you've had to make lately?
Oh boy. Yeah, there's always tough decisions. I'm trying to think of a tough decision around the goals that I've set. Sometimes you have to fail on your goals, or maybe you don't want to say fail, but sometimes you have to adjust your goals. Recently I set out to do this hard 75. It was 75-day challenge, and I was exercising twice a week and doing all this other stuff, and I did really well with it. And 70 days into it, I was gone for a weekend, and the first day I did the 75 hard. The second day I did the first workout, and I got home and it was late at night, and I hadn't seen my wife for three days, and it was fairly late already, and I could have made the choice of going to do my second workout and completing this 75-day hard, which I was already 70 days into it, or spending valuable time with my wife that I hadn't seen for several days. And I chose to spend the time with my wife. I thought that was more important than achieving some, challenge like 75 hard. And so ultimately, did I fail on 75 hard? You could call it a failure, sure, but I don't feel like I failed. I feel like I achieved what I set out to achieve, and have continued to, basically do everything that this 75 hard is, beyond, other than, I spent time with my wife and sacrificed the completing the 75th day. So,
Okay.
sometimes you have to make tough decisions, and but you've got to look at it overall, like, what is it doing for you? And when I looked at, okay, well, what is this, what is more valuable? Ultimately, it was my wife, and spending that time with her, that was more valuable than getting that second workout in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts about goals?
Do them and make them. It's easy. Everybody knows it. Like, listen, it's not like we're not inventing something new today, Matt, by telling people to do their goals, but write them down, and really dig into them. Put a framework into it, right? Don't just write down that I'm going to buy 100 units this year, or 500 units, or I'm going to buy a single family house, or whatever. Really get in there and get into some details. Get your results. Like I said, get your reasons and your purpose. Get your steps. What kind of steps are we going to take along the way? Prioritize. Put a timestamp onto it. Figure out how you're going to leverage, right? Who you're going to leverage, what you're going to leverage, and then make sure you have a plan to execute it. So, if you really dig in and get granular and write it all down, I think you're going to have a lot more success. Like I said, or we've said, like when challenges come, and they do, you really understand the goal and the purpose and, how to get there and the steps to take and the consistency that you need to have. And it's just a lot easier, I think, to push on when it's all there and written down and we've really thought about it and processed it. So, and goals are goals. We've heard over and over to make your goals, but just you've got to actually do it and you really get granular with it.
Are there any books or other resources you would recommend?
I mean, there's all kinds of books out there. Sure. I don't know. No, the answer is no. I mean, I like Miracle Morning. I think it's a great book. It's not just about goals, but it has a lot to do with goals. And so I think that's good. There's the 5-second rule. I thought that was a decent book. It talks a lot about goals and, her whole thing is when you, let's go back to the junk food thing. You've got maybe you're at the gas station going to pay for gas or whatever, and you walk by the donut aisle and you see those donuts and you're about to grab a donut. Think about what you're doing and count down to 5 or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that gives you that extra couple seconds to pause and make the right decision versus wrong decision, or maybe you're going to get onto one task and instead you're playing on your email, but you're supposed to be doing this task and you just go stop and just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do this. And it helps you get onto that. So, I mean, there's just different tools but yeah, there's nothing, I think that's overly special that I've read.
Yeah, I just got Miracle Morning, and I'm going to start reading it here soon. So I look forward to the lessons that I can obtain from that.
Yeah, good book. Yeah, I think most every business mindset entrepreneur book has a section about goal setting, and that just tells you the importance of goal setting. And most of them talk about your why too. I think almost every book I've read talks about having a clear, defined purpose, reason, why, whatever you want to call it. But even from the classics of Think and Grow Rich and How to Win Friends and Influence People, all the way to anything even written just yesterday, is going to have a section on understanding your purpose or understanding your why, what drives you, that type of stuff. So, it's obviously powerful.
Okay.
So, cool. That's all I got, man. I was going to talk about some other things, but we'll save that for the next episode. We'll dig into, next episode, for those of you who are listening now, we'll dig into, making some tough decisions and really when to make them, why to make them. And it kind of has to do with just some property management choices I've had to make recently. And so we'll talk about that next time.
All right. Thanks, Todd.
Yeah. Have a good rest of the day, Matt.
Make every day a Saturday.
Make every day a Saturday. You can't take my tagline, man. Make every day a Saturday. See ya. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. Couple things before we go. Again, go on to our Facebook page, Pillars of Wealth. We'd love to have you on there. Go on to iTunes, give us a rating and review, and subscribe to the show. Also, don't forget, reach out to me if you want any help with potentially growing your business, and reach out to John Stiles to help you buy or sell real estate. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Have a fantastic the rest of the day. And as I say, make every day a Saturday.